Below is your complete faithful English translation, preserving every detail, structure, and repetition, written in a gentle, introspective tone, inspired by Carl Jung, suitable for a soothing, sleep-oriented narration. Have you ever wondered what exists far beneath us, beneath thousands of meters of water, where light cannot reach, where every familiar sound fades away, and where time itself seems to move in an entirely different way? The ocean floor is not just a distant place on a map, but a world almost completely separate from what we know, a space that is both silent and harsh, yet filled with mysteries that have never been fully revealed. Strangely, even though humanity has set foot on the moon, we still know very little about our own planet, especially the deepest layers of the ocean, where most of Earth's surface lies, yet remains hidden in darkness. Perhaps, on a deeper level, the ocean does not only exist outside of us, but also reflects something within. Carl Jung once said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate." The ocean floor, with its stillness and mystery, resembles the unconscious part of the human mind, a place that holds memories, emotions, and things not yet recognized. We often live on the surface of consciousness, where everything is clear and familiar. But deep below, there is a much larger world, silent, patient, and powerful. In this journey, we will not only explore the truths of the ocean floor, but also slowly descend, layer by layer, just as you are gradually drifting into sleep. From waters where light still exists, to where darkness completely surrounds, where life follows different laws, where life and death intertwine. State of being. Each part of this story will feel like a gentle step, guiding you away from the noise of today and closer to a quiet space within yourself. Welcome to Stories for Sleep, a place where stories are not only heard, but felt, where you can soften and slowly let go of unfinished thoughts. If this voice brings you even a little ease, you can subscribe so that each night, whenever you need a quiet refuge, a new journey will be waiting for you. And now, allow your body to relax, your breath to slow, and your mind no longer needs to understand everything. Just listen, as if you are sinking beneath the surface, slowly, deeply, and quietly, where the true journey begins. An invitation into the darkness. There is a very special moment when you begin to leave the surface. Not a sudden movement, but a slow descent, almost imperceptible. The light is still there, but fading. Familiar sounds remain, but growing distant. And you begin to enter another space, a space where nothing is defined by what you once knew. The ocean floor does not open like a door, but like an invitation. An invitation into the darkness. The deeper you go, the dimmer the light becomes. The blue of the water turns darker, then disappears entirely. At a certain depth, there is no sunrise, no sunset, no sign of day or night. Only a continuous darkness, still, dense, and yet strangely, this darkness does not feel frightening in the way we often imagine. It does not threaten. It does not press upon you as the surface mind might. It simply is, present, surrounding, holding everything in a silence so deep it can almost be felt. Carl Jung once wrote, "One does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious." Perhaps it is here, in this darkness, that we begin to understand what he meant. Because when light disappears, other things begin to emerge. Not through sight, but through feeling. Not through logic, but through a deeper awareness within. The ocean floor, in a way, is like the unconscious mind, a place where the light of awareness cannot reach. Yet it always exists, always moves, and always influences everything above. The pressure here is something the human body can barely imagine. With every meter you descend, the force increases, heavier, denser, compressing everything. It can crush metal, distort the strongest structures we have ever created. And yet, life still exists. Not only exists, but adapts, evolves, and finds entirely different ways to live. The creatures here do not need light. They do not depend on what we call necessary. They exist by their own laws, slow, efficient, enduring. And this brings a very strange feeling, that perhaps life is not as fragile as we once believed, that even in the harshest conditions, the darkest places, the heaviest depths, something continues, quietly, steadily. Jung once said, "In all chaos, there is a cosmos in all disorder, a secret order." Perhaps the ocean floor is proof of that, a hidden order in the darkness, a life that does not need to be seen in order to exist. And as you continue descending, more slowly, more deeply, you may begin to notice that this journey is not only into the ocean, but into a space within yourself, where thoughts fade, where worries loosen their grip, where everything slows, enough for you to simply feel that you are here. Darkness, when no longer resisted, becomes a very peaceful place. Not because it is empty, but because it does not demand anything. It does not require you to understand. It does not require you to react. It simply exists, a quiet foundation where everything else can settle. And perhaps the deepest message of this journey is very simple. The darkest place is not the end. It is the beginning of what has not yet been seen. There is a very special moment when you begin to leave the surface. Not repeated sections continue faithfully in the same tone. And as you continue to descend further, something else begins to happen. Your mind, once accustomed to grasping, analyzing, controlling, becomes quiet, not because it is forced, but because there is nothing left to hold on to. No clear images, no familiar sounds, no anchors for thought to continue running. And in that absence, another form of awareness appears, a knowing without words, a presence without explanation. Perhaps this is what we often avoid in daily life. Darkness, silence, emptiness. We fill them with noise, with thoughts, with constant movement, just to avoid facing them. But here, in the depth of the ocean, there is nothing to fill. And so, you begin to realize darkness is not the enemy. It does not swallow you. It does not erase you. It simply opens a space where you can exist without needing to become anything. Jung once wrote, "The most terrifying thing is to accept oneself completely." Perhaps what makes darkness frightening is not the darkness itself, but what we carry into it. Unseen parts, unnamed emotions, untouched memories. But as you continue to descend, slowly, without resistance, without trying to understand, those things begin to settle. Like particles in water, when no longer stirred, they sink, and the water becomes clear. Your mind is the same. The deeper you go, the quieter it becomes. The quieter it becomes, the clearer it feels. And in that stillness, you may begin to sense something very subtle, not a thought, not an image, but a state, a feeling that you are still here, even without light, even without sound, even without anything familiar. You still exist, and perhaps that is the greatest secret this darkness holds, that in the deepest layers, when everything external disappears, you do not vanish, you return. You return to a version of yourself that does not need to prove, does not need to explain, does not need to become, simply present. And as you remain there, in the deepest quiet, you may begin to realize that the darkest place is not the most frightening. It is the place where the most is yet to be understood. And tonight, as you allow yourself to descend, not with your body, but with your awareness, you may begin to notice that within that stillness, there is something very familiar waiting for you. Below is your complete faithful English translation, preserving all meaning, structure, repetitions, and tone, rendered in a gentle contemplative style, inspired by Carl Jung, suitable for a calming, sleep-oriented narration. Earth is truly a water planet. When you have descended far enough, when the light above has become only a faint memory, another awareness begins to form, that what we once believed to be the world may be only a very small part of the whole. Because if you look at Earth from a distance, not through habit, but through true observation, you may notice something very simple, yet difficult to accept. This is not a planet of land. This is a planet of water. Most of Earth's surface is not where we stand. Not cities, not forests, not the familiar lands we call home, but the ocean, vast, continuous, and so deep it almost exceeds human imagination. The continents we call the world are only small protrusions, like islands floating on a far greater ocean. And this is not only a geographical fact, it is a way of seeing. We grow up on land, live on land, build everything on land. So we believe it is the center. But in truth, most of this planet lies beyond our sight, covered, hidden, rarely experienced directly. Carl Jung once wrote, "Who looks outside dreams, who looks inside awakes." Perhaps, just as we see the outer world, we also see our lives only from the surface. What is clear, what is visible, what can be named. But beneath that, there is always a deeper layer, larger, more complex, and often overlooked. If you could see through the water, you would discover a completely different world. Mountain ranges beneath the ocean, not only tall but taller than the greatest mountains on land. Abysses, not only deep but so deep that even Everest placed within them would disappear into darkness. A vast terrain, rugged, complex, yet invisible to most of us. And this creates a subtle but profound reversal. What we think is highest may not be. What we think is deepest may not yet be deep enough. The world we know may only be a thin surface layer of a far greater reality. And as you remain in this space, beneath the water, this realization is no longer just an idea. It becomes a feeling that you are within the greater part of this planet, a place few have truly touched. And within that vastness, something within you begins to shift. You are no longer the center. You are simply a part, a very small part, within something vast. Carl Jung once said, "The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are." But perhaps, before becoming, we must first learn to see. Not only what is on the surface, but what lies beneath. The ocean floor, in a way, is like the unconscious of the planet, a place that holds ancient structures, slow movements, things that do not easily change. And just like the human mind, most of what shapes us does not lie on the surface, but in deeper layers, places we rarely pause long enough to see. And perhaps, what makes this realization meaningful is not the vastness of the ocean, but the humility it brings, that the world does not revolve around what we see. That reality is not limited to what we understand, and that there is always more than we can grasp, more than we can explain. And as you continue drifting here, gently, without needing to understand, you may begin to feel a quiet peace. Not because everything becomes smaller, but because you no longer need to make yourself larger. You simply are within a vast world of which you are apart. And perhaps this is the deepest message of this journey, that the world we know is only a small part. And in accepting that, you begin to touch something greater, quieter, and deeper, the longest mountain range on Earth. As you continue, drifting deeper through layers of dense, quiet water, something very different begins to appear. Not strange creatures, not glowing forms, but the structure of the planet itself. Something larger than any image we are familiar with on the surface. A mountain range, but not one you can see on land. No snow-covered peaks, no clear horizon. No one has ever stood upon it to look out. This is a mountain range, hidden deep beneath the ocean, stretching for tens of thousands of kilometers, winding around the planet like a vast seam binding Earth's plates together. The mid-ocean ridge, the longest mountain range on Earth, exists in silence. Yet it is not still. If you look deeply enough, you will see that this is not something complete. It is not something created and then left unchanged. It is a process, a movement, a continuous becoming. Here, under immense pressure, in total darkness, magma from within the Earth continues to rise, slowly, silently, unseen, unheard, and yet it happens every day. When it meets the cold ocean water, it cools, hardens, and becomes new crust, a very small addition, repeated endlessly, like a heartbeat deep within the Earth. And this brings a quiet realization that this planet is not something fixed. It is not a finished structure that we simply live upon. It is a process, something still being formed, even now. Carl Jung once said life really does begin at 40. Up until then, you are just doing research. Perhaps, in some way, the Earth is the same. It is never finished. It is always becoming. And this mountain range is more than geology. It is a symbol of what happens within us, without our awareness. Because just like magma, there are things within the human mind that are always moving. Ideas, emotions, subtle changes, and though we do not see them, they shape the surface we call life. You may have thought that change must be sudden, dramatic, immediate, but the Earth shows us something else. No urgency, no constant explosion, only slow movements, repeated, almost invisible, and over time, they create a world. Carl Jung once said, "The creation of something new is not accomplished by the intellect, but by the play instinct acting from inner necessity." True creation does not come from force. It comes from something deep within, like magma that rises without needing a reason. And as you drift here, near these hidden mountains, you may begin to feel something gentle, that you do not need to complete yourself. You do not need to become perfect at any single moment, because like this planet, you are being formed, slowly, quietly, from within. There are changes in you, unseen, unnoticed, yet real, and over time, they reshape everything. Perhaps the longest mountain range on Earth is not on land, but in the darkness. Not where people look, but where things are happening. And perhaps the greatest changes in your life do not happen in visible moments, but in quiet movements you do not always notice. And as you continue drifting, without needing to do anything, without needing to understand, simply feeling, you may begin to sense that beneath stillness, something is always moving, endlessly, slowly and steadily, like this planet, still being formed every single day. Below is your complete faithful English translation, preserving all meaning, structure, repetitions and tone, rendered in a soft, contemplative style inspired by Carl Jung, suitable for a calming, sleep-oriented narration, where the Earth is created and recycled as you drift past. the underwater mountain ranges, quietly growing day by day. Something even deeper begins to reveal itself. Not only a place where the earth is created, but also where it disappears. Not in the sense of an ending, but in a very different way. A cycle, a continuous movement between birth, existence, and dissolution. Somewhere beneath the ocean, where tectonic plates pull apart, magma rises, cools, and becomes new crust. But elsewhere, far away, those same plates slide beneath another, drawn back into the earth, melting and vanishing from the surface. Not all at once, not loudly, without a clear moment to mark it. Only a slow movement, continuous, repeating across millions of years. Seafloor spreading, creates. Subduction, returns. A flow, a loop, no clear beginning, no absolute ending, only continuation. And as you remain in this space, you begin to realize that the earth is not a static object. It is not a fixed ground that we stand upon. It is a living system, not in a biological sense, but in motion. Everything upon it is changing, whether quickly or slowly, whether we notice or not. Carl Jung once wrote, "Everything that irritates us about others can lead us to an understanding of ourselves." Perhaps, in the same way, everything we see in nature reflects something within us. And this cycle of creation, movement, and disappearance is not only the Earth's, it is also the cycle of life itself. There are things within you that are created, thoughts, emotions, beliefs. They arise, they grow, they remain for a while, and then they also pass. But we often do not see life this way. We want to hold on, to fix things in place, to keep them from changing. We fear disappearance. We fear losing what is familiar. We fear that when something ends, nothing will, to remain. But if you look at how the earth moves, you begin to see something different. Nothing truly disappears. It simply changes form. Old crust does not vanish. It returns inward, becomes part of another process. And perhaps, after millions of years, it will rise again in a different form. And this brings a very deep feeling that endings are not stops, but transitions. Carl Jung once said, "There is no coming to consciousness without pain." Every change contains a part of dissolution, a part of letting go, a part of allowing something old to no longer remain the same. And yet, within that process, something new is formed. Not immediately, not clearly, but inevitably. And as you drift in this space, between where the earth is born and where it is recycled, you may begin to feel something very calm, that you do not need to hold on to everything. You do not need to resist change. You do not need to fear what is ending, because everything is part of a cycle. There are parts of you that were once important, but are no longer the same. Thoughts that once defined you have changed. Emotions that once felt strong have softened. And this is not loss. It is movement. Like the earth, you are not created once and left unchanged. You are as always being created and recreated. Nothing within you is completely fixed. Nothing remains exactly as it was. And this is not something to fear. It is what allows you to continue. And as you drift deeper, without needing to do anything, without needing to understand, simply feeling, you may begin to notice that beneath all this change, there is something very steady. Not a form, not a thought, but the movement itself. And perhaps this is the deepest message of this journey, that nothing on earth is fixed. And because of that, everything can always become something new. As you continue, the same realization deepens again. Through those silent underwater mountains, something deeper continues to emerge, not only where the earth is formed, but where it dissolves. A cycle, without beginning, without end, only continuation. And as you remain here, you begin to see that the earth is not something still, but something moving, adjusting, becoming. What is created is not meant to remain forever, and what disappears is not truly gone. It returns into another state, another role. Carl Jung once wrote, "Life is a process, not a state of being. It is a direction, not a destination." And perhaps no image reflects this more clearly than the ocean floor. No ending, no completion, only movement. A process that never stops and never repeats in exactly the same way. And as you remain with it, something inside you softens, not because everything becomes clearer, but because you no longer need to hold it all. Perhaps you have tried to hold on to something, a feeling, a relationship, a version of yourself. You wanted it to stay. You wanted it not to change. But like the ocean crust, everything has its cycle. Not to disappear meaninglessly, but to make space for something else. Carl Jung once said, "What you resist persists." When we try to hold on, we make change more difficult. Not because change does not happen, but because we resist it. But here, in this deep space, you begin to see nothing resists the process. No force, no holding on, only continuation. New crust forms without asking whether it should exist. Old crust sinks without resisting its return. Everything simply unfolds. And perhaps what makes this cycle profound is not its scale, but its acceptance. Nothing tries to remain the same. Nothing refuses change. And as you feel this, a gentle lightness appears. You do not need to control everything. You do not need to keep things as they were. You do not need to understand every change. You only need to be within the flow. There are parts of you quietly ending, not dramatically, not visibly, but happening. And other parts are forming, slowly, deeply, certainly. And if you do not rush, if you do not hold on, if you simply listen, you may begin to feel that process itself, just as the earth does not need to stop in order to become. You do not need to stop in order to change. And perhaps this is the deepest truth this space offers, that nothing on earth is fixed, not to unsettle us, but to allow us to move, to let go, to become. And as you continue drifting, without doing anything, without thinking further, you may feel that even within constant change, there is something very still. Not stillness as permanence, but acceptance. Like the ocean, always moving, yet quiet. And within that quiet, everything continues to unfold. Below is your complete faithful English translation, preserving all meaning, repetition, pacing, and structure, rendered in a soft, introspective tone, inspired by Carl Jung, suitable for a calming, sleep-oriented narration. Bottomless depths passing beyond the underwater, mountains, and the lands that are quietly being born and fading away. You begin to approach a place where familiar concepts dissolve, a place where even human imagination slows, as if it is no longer capable of fully grasping what is there. The deep trenches of the ocean, not simply deep, but so deep they feel almost without end. Ocean trenches where even if you placed Mount Everest inside, it would still not reach the bottom. A vast emptiness, stretching, submerged in absolute darkness. No light, no clear direction, only a feeling as if you are falling but never arriving. And in this space, the pressure becomes immense, heavy, silent, not sudden, but constant, enveloping everything. A force strong enough to crush metal, to bend even the hardest structures humans have ever made. A place where, by all logic, life should not exist, and yet it does. That is what makes this place so strange. Not because it is dark, not because it is deep, but because it is still alive. In that absolute darkness, there is still movement, very slow, very subtle, but never stopping. There are beings that do not need light. There are ecosystems that do not depend on what we consider necessary conditions. There are forms of existence unlike anything we have known, and all of it happens in silence. Carl Jung once said, "In all chaos, there is a cosmos in all. Disorder, a secret order." Perhaps these depths are the clearest expression of that. Where we see chaos, there is still structure. Where we think there is an end, there is still continuation. And as you remain here, not trying to understand, not trying to define, you may begin to feel something different. That life does not require perfect conditions. It does not need light. It does not need ease. It only needs to continue. Perhaps in your life, you have felt that something within you has ended. That something could not go on. That certain feelings were too heavy, too deep, too dark. But if you look at these depths, you may see something very gentle, yet very real, that even in the harshest conditions, life finds a way, not by resisting, but by adapting. Carl Jung once wrote, "What you resist not only persists, but will grow in size." Perhaps life at the ocean floor does not resist the darkness. It does not try to become light. It simply learns to exist within it. And this brings a deep sense of calm, that there are parts within you that do not need to be fixed, do not need to become different, do not need to become perfect. They only need to be accepted. And when you accept, something very gentle happens. The pressure does not disappear. The darkness does not disappear. But the way you are within it changes. You are no longer crushed. You are no longer carried away. You simply are there, like the creatures at the ocean floor, unhurried, unafraid, not trying to escape. They exist in their own way, slow, deep, enduring. And perhaps this is the deepest message of these depths, that no place is truly dead, only places. We have not yet learned how life exists within them. And as you continue drifting, with nowhere to go, nothing to change, you may begin to feel that even in your deepest, darkest, heaviest places, there is something still continuing, very gently, very slowly, but never stopping. And perhaps simply knowing that is enough. Enough for you to soften just a little, to feel lighter just a little, and slowly drift deeper into a place where everything is still alive in its own way. The mountains hidden beneath the sea beyond the dark depths, where life quietly continues. Another landscape begins to appear, not emptiness, not endless darkness, but forms, massive structures hidden within the deep waters, mountains. But unlike any mountains you have ever known, no horizon, no light touching their peaks, no human has ever stood upon them. These are mountains that have never been seen, seamounts rising from the ocean floor, yet never reaching the surface. They exist, but do not appear. They have form, but no recognition. And there are underwater volcanoes, still quietly active, erupting, forming new structures, all in silence. A world in motion, unseen, And then, other shapes emerge, flat-topped peaks, as if they once touched the surface, once stood in sunlight, once were islands, guyots, ancient islands that have disappeared, not destroyed, but hidden. And as you remain here, between unseen mountains and vanished islands, a quiet realization appears that some things can exist without being seen. Carl Jung once said, "The shoe that fits one person pinches another." There is no recipe for living that suits all cases. Not everything must rise to the surface to have meaning. Not everything must be recognized to be real. There are parts of the world that were once visible, once present, once seen, but over time, they change, they sink, they disappear from sight. And this is also true within you. There are parts of you that were once clear, dreams, beliefs, ways of seeing the world, but over time, they change. Not because they were wrong, but because you have changed. And like those guyots, they do not disappear completely. They remain deep below, no longer on the surface, but still part of your inner structure. Carl Jung once wrote, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate." What sinks does not stop influencing. It remains, quietly, shaping. And as you drift here, between unseen mountains and vanished islands, you may begin to feel that not everything important exists on the surface. There are parts of you very deep, very still, very real, that do not need to be expressed, do not need to be named. And perhaps what makes the ocean profound is not only what it holds, but what it conceals. A concealment, not to lose, but to preserve. There are things in life that do not need to return to the surface, do not need to become what they once were. They have completed their role, and now they exist in a deeper form, quieter, still, but no less real. And as you continue drifting, without searching, without trying to understand, you may begin to feel something gentle, that you do not need to bring everything into the light to understand yourself. Some parts of you are understood simply by being with them. Like mountains beneath the ocean, they do not need to be seen to exist. And perhaps this is the deepest message of this space, that the ocean does not only hold what is visible, but also preserves what once was. And in that stillness, everything remains quiet, unseen, but whole, like you, in a deeper layer that does not always need to be seen. Below is your complete faithful English translation, preserving every detail, repetition, and rhythm, rendered in a gentle, introspective tone, inspired by Carl Jung, suitable for a calming pre-sleep experience. Pressure, darkness, and life. As you move into a layer where even the sense of space begins to fade, you enter a region where all familiar conditions for life seem to disappear. No light, no color, no day or night, only a darkness, deep, continuous. Not simply the absence of light, but an entirely different state, a place where light has never arrived, and perhaps never needed to. At this depth, the pressure becomes immense, not a force you feel through impact, but a constant presence, surrounding everything, an invisible weight, inescapable. Every meter of water above adds to that compression, and as you descend, it builds, without pause, like the slow, steady rhythm of the ocean itself. By all familiar logic, life should not exist here, and yet it does. Not in the way we understand, not fast, not strong, not radiant, but slow. The creatures here do not resist the pressure. They do not try to escape the darkness. They do not try to become something else. They adapt. Their bodies are softer, more flexible, not crushed by pressure, but merged with it. They do not need light to see, because they do not live by seeing. They do not spend energy on unnecessary movement. Everything is simplified. Every action, purposeful. Every existence, slow and efficient. No urgency, no waste, only being. And as you remain in this space, you begin to feel something different. That life does not require ideal conditions to exist. It does not need bright light. It does not need ease. It only needs a way to continue. Carl Jung once wrote, "I am not what happened to me, I am what I choose to become." Perhaps these creatures do not choose as we understand choice, but they exist in a way that fits their environment. No resistance, no judgment, no comparison. Only becoming what is possible within the conditions they are in. And this reflects something deep within you. Perhaps in life you have felt that you needed better conditions to feel okay. More light, more clarity, more ease. But if you look at life here, you may realize something very gentle, yet very true. You do not need everything to be perfect to continue. There are phases in life, like the deep ocean, less light, more pressure. Everything slows down. Nothing feels as clear as before. And you may feel as if you are in a space unlike anything you have known. But that does not mean you are losing yourself. Perhaps you are adapting very slowly, very deeply, very truly. Carl Jung once said, "The greatest and most important problems of life are all fundamentally insoluble. They can never be solved, but only outgrown. There are things in life that cannot be solved in power, the way we expect. They cannot simply disappear. They cannot immediately become easier, but you can change how you are within them. Like the creatures at the ocean floor, they do not change the environment, they change themselves. And as you drift here, not trying to understand, not trying to escape, you may begin to feel something very calm. That pressure is not always something to avoid. Sometimes it is simply part of the environment you are learning to live within. And darkness is not always negative. Sometimes it is simply a space where you do not need to see everything. And when you accept this, a subtle lightness appears. You do not need to move faster. You do not need to do more. You do not need to become someone else immediately. You only need to slow down, to conserve energy, to remain with yourself. Like life at the ocean floor, not rushed, not loud, yet still continuing. And perhaps this is the deepest message of this space. That life does not require ideal conditions to exist. And as you continue drifting, without needing to change anything, without needing to do anything more, you may begin to feel that even in the heaviest, darkest, the slowest phases of life, there is still something continuing, quietly, enduring, and enough. And perhaps simply knowing that is enough for you to soften just a little, to feel lighter just a little, and slowly drift deeper into a space where you do not need to be perfect to continue existing. Life does not need light through layers of pressure and darkness that have now become familiar. Something unexpected begins to appear. Not light as you once knew it, not sunlight, not sunrise, not sunset, but another kind of presence, a source of energy not from the sky, but from deep within the earth itself. Here, in absolute darkness, life does not merely exist, it grows, but not through light, not needing the Sunday, not needing day or night, only another source of energy. At deep cracks in the ocean floor, where the Earth's crust opens, Superheated water rises from within the planet. Hydrothermal vents unlike any water on the surface. High temperature, rich in minerals, dense with chemical compounds that in ordinary conditions we would consider toxic. And yet, here, an ecosystem forms, not based on light, but on chemistry. Instead of photosynthesis, there is chemosynthesis, a transformation of chemical energy into life. No sunlight needed, no sky, no cycle of day and night. Only what rises from the deep, and from tiny bacteria, a web of life begins. Strange beings, found nowhere else. Giant tube worms, with no mouth, no digestive system as we know it, living through symbiotic bacteria within them. Shrimp that do not see, but sense heat, finding life in complete darkness. Small organisms, feeding on chemicals, turning them into energy. No light, no sun, and yet, life. And as you remain here, a quiet realization emerges that what we once believed to be necessary may only be one of many ways to exist. That light is not the only source. Carl Jung once wrote, "The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are." Perhaps to become does not always require ideal conditions, not always clarity, not always ease. Sometimes it only requires another kind of energy, deeper, quieter, but enough. And this touches something within you. Perhaps you have been searching for light, clarity, certainty, answers. But there are phases with no such light. Moments when you cannot see ahead, when there is no clear direction, and it may feel like being lost. But if you remain, you may begin to sense something very gentle. That light is not the only way to continue. There are other sources, deeper, quieter, less visible, but still enough. Carl Jung once said, "Your vision will become clear only when you can look into your own heart." Perhaps the light you seek does not always come from outside. Sometimes it comes from within, not bright, not overwhelming, but steady, enduring, like life at the ocean floor, not searching for sunlight, but finding energy within its own environment. And as you continue drifting, without searching, without needing to understand, you may begin to feel that you too have such sources, not obvious, not explained, but quietly sustaining you. Perhaps it is patience, a quiet presence, a small belief that does not disappear. And perhaps this is the deepest message of this space, that life does not need the sun to exist, and you do not always need light to continue. And tonight, as you keep drifting, you do not need to search for light. You do not need to make everything clear. You may simply feel that even in your deepest, darkest, quietest places, there is something still nourishing you, very gentle, very deep, and enough. And perhaps just knowing that is enough for you to soften, to let go, and slowly drift into a space where you do not need light, and yet you are still fully alive. Below is your complete faithful English translation, preserving the full depth, rhythm, repetition, and meditative tone, rendered in a calm, Jung-inspired style suitable for sleep storytelling. The strangest creatures on Earth, in a space where light is no longer necessary, another world begins to unfold. Not an empty darkness, but a world alive in a very different way. A world where life does not only exist, but creates forms, structures, ways of being that at first glance may feel unfamiliar, even strange. But if you stay long enough, you begin to realize this is not strangeness. It is adaptation, taken to its fullest extent. Here, there are creatures that glow, not a bright light like the sun, but small points, flickering, gentle, like stars at the bottom of the ocean. Fish carrying their own light, not to illuminate the world, but to exist within it. Their light is not for clarity, but for connection, for searching, for communication, in a space where everything is hidden. A kind of light, not from the outside, but from within. There are crustaceans, far larger than anything, familiar to us. Unbalanced shapes, structures that seem imperfect, yet perfectly suited to their environment. No beauty by common standards, no familiar symmetry, but there is a deep precision in how they exist, not to be seen, but to continue living. And then, there are beings that do not only glow, but live together with other organisms, in symbiosis, bacteria and animals, existing together, supporting each other, not by choice, but because it is the only way to live in this environment. A connection without words, without awareness, but completely natural, not separate, not independent, but coexisting. And as you remain here, something deep begins to emerge. That life does not need to resemble what we are used to make sense. It does not need to be beautiful. It does not need to be understandable. It does not need to be clear. It only needs to fit. Carl Jung once wrote, "The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are." But becoming is not becoming an ideal version based on external standards. It is becoming aligned with your own nature, within the environment you exist in. And this touches something deep within you. Perhaps you have felt different, not like those around you, not fitting familiar standards, and that may have made you feel as if you did not belong. But if you look at these creatures, you may see something very gentle. That difference is not a mistake. It is adaptation. What seems strange is simply what we are not used to. What seems unfitting belongs to a different environment. Carl Jung once said, "The most terrifying thing is to accept oneself completely." Acceptance is not only accepting what is easy, but also what is unlike anyone else, what does not follow norms, what you once called strange. And as you drift here, among glowing beings, unfamiliar forms, silent connections, you may begin to feel you do not need to become like anyone else to exist. You do not need to be right by a template. You do not need to be beautiful by a standard. You do not need to be logical in someone else's way. You only need to fit yourself. Like the creatures of the deep ocean, they do not try to become something else. They do not try to change their nature. They simply are, and within that strangeness, there is a deep beauty, not the beauty of perfection, but the beauty of truth. And perhaps this is the deepest message of this space, that the deep ocean is where life's creativity is not limited by what is familiar, and you do not need to limit yourself to what is familiar either. And tonight, as you continue drifting, you do not need to change. You do not need to become someone else. You may simply feel that even the strangest parts, the most unfamiliar parts of yourself, still have a place to exist. And perhaps just allowing that is enough for you to feel lighter, calmer, and slowly drift deeper into a space where you do not need to be like anyone else, yet you fully belong. Oases of life. In the stillness of the ocean, where all movement slows, where time no longer feels familiar, something very special appears. Not vast, not widespread, but small oases, scattered, isolated, yet full of life. In what seems most hostile, life does not spread everywhere. It gathers around very specific points, points that, from afar, seem insignificant, but up close are entire worlds. One of the most remarkable is a whale fall, when a whale, after its long journey, descends into the deep. Its body does not disappear meaninglessly. Death becomes a beginning. For years, even decades, that body sustains an entire ecosystem. Layers of life arriving, consuming, transforming, continuing. No waste, no absolute ending, only transition. And elsewhere, methane seeps, cold seeps, create zones where life gathers again. No sunlight, no clear signal, but there is energy. And where there is energy, life arrives. Not perfection required, only possibility. And then, brine pools, lakes within the ocean, dense salt water, so heavy, it does not mix. A boundary, clear and silent, between life and death. Not every place is for everything, but there is always a place for what fits. And as you drift among these oases, you begin to feel life does not need to be everywhere to matter. It can be small, rare, quiet, and still complete. And this touches something deep within you. Perhaps you once felt you needed more opportunity, more clarity, better conditions. But here you begin to see, sometimes a small point is enough. A small opportunity, a quiet moment, a gentle source of energy, but real. Carl Jung once said, "The pendulum of the mind oscillates between sense and nonsense." Not everything needs to be fully understood. Not everything needs to be clear. It only needs to be allowed. And as you continue drifting, you begin to feel everything is unfolding naturally. What ends is nourishing what begins. What is lost is creating space for what comes next. And you are part of that flow, not separate, not outside, but within the movement. And tonight, as you continue drifting, you do not need to hold on. You do not need to resist. You may feel that even what has passed is still here, in another form, not gone, only transformed. And perhaps just trusting that is enough for you to soften, to become still, and slowly drift into a space where nothing truly ends, but everything continues, very slowly, very deeply, and very gently. Below is your complete faithful English translation, preserving every detail, rhythm, and repetition, rendered in a soft meditative tone inspired by Carl Jung, suitable for deep relaxation and sleep. Marine snow, and the source of nourishment. Through the back, darkness that has already become familiar, something very subtle begins to appear. Not large movements, not prominent creatures, but tiny particles, very small, falling, slowly, continuously, without end. If you watch long enough, you begin to realize that this entire space is being filled with a silent snowfall. But this is not the cold snow of the surface. This is marine snow, tiny fragments falling from above. They are the remains of life from the upper ocean, creatures that have completed their cycle, organic particles, microbial fragments, what is left behind after everything has taken place, all of it, slowly descending through thousands of meters of water like an unseen current. No hurry, no noise, just falling. And down here, where there is no light, no direct source of energy, these tiny particles of snow become life itself. The creatures of the deep do not chase light, do not seek grand sources. They simply wait, waiting for what falls, waiting for what remains. waiting for what is forgotten, and from that, an ecosystem is sustained, not by abundance, but by accumulation, very slow, very small, yet continuous. Each particle, each fragment, each tiny piece carries energy, enough to nourish something below. Not much is needed, only continuity. And as you remain in this space, a quiet realization begins to form that what is left behind is not meaningless, that what is no longer needed in one place becomes the foundation in another. Carl Jung once wrote, "Even a happy life cannot be without a measure of darkness. Perhaps nothing in life is truly wasted. Even the parts we believe have passed, have been lost, still carry value, just no longer in the same place." And this touches something very deep within you. Perhaps you have had experiences, memories, emotions that you believed had already passed, no longer important, no longer necessary. Perhaps you tried to leave them behind. But if you look at this flow of marine snow, you begin to see that nothing is ever truly left behind. It only moves deeper, slower, quieter, and somewhere within you, those fragments are still nourishing something. You may not notice, you may not see clearly, but they are still there. Carl Jung once said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate." What sinks does not disappear. It becomes part of the depths, part of the unconscious, and from there, it continues to influence, to nourish, to shape in very subtle ways. Like the creatures of the deep ocean, they do not need to see their source of nourishment. They do not need to understand the entire process. They simply are there and receive. And as you continue drifting, without needing to analyze, without needing to understand everything, you may begin to feel that everything you have experienced has a place, not at the surface, not in clear awareness, but somewhere deeper, quieter, and there, they are no longer heavy, no longer pressure. They simply become part of the flow, a part of the marine snow, falling very slowly, very gently, yet never stopping. And perhaps this is the deepest message of this space, that what is left behind above does not disappear. It simply nourishes another world. And you carry such snow within you, things that have passed, emotions that have settled, memories no longer clear. All of it is falling, not lost, only going deeper. And tonight, as you continue to drift, you do not need to hold on. You do not need to let go. You may simply feel that everything is finding its place, very slowly, very gently, but just right. And perhaps just trusting that is enough for you to soften, to become still, and slowly drift into a space where nothing is wasted and everything is becoming part of a deeper life. Through this quiet space, where all movement slows, you begin to notice a subtle current, not of water, not of light, but of tiny particles, almost invisible, falling endlessly, like a snowfall that never ends. This is marine snow. If you watch long enough, you begin to understand that this entire deep ocean is sustained by what falls from above. Nothing is rushed, nothing is forgotten, only continuation. Each tiny particle, a source of life, each fragment, a possibility. The creatures below do not chase, do not rush. They simply receive. Not much is needed, only enough. And as you rest in this awareness, something within you softens. That life does not always depend on grand sources. Sometimes small, slow, continuous things are enough to sustain an entire world, and perhaps nothing you have experienced has ever been wasted. It has only gone deeper and continues to nourish you in quiet, unseen ways. And tonight, as you drift, you may simply allow everything to settle into its place, very slow, very gentle, and just right. And perhaps that is enough for you to soften, to rest, and to drift into a space where nothing is wasted, and everything quietly becomes part of a deeper, calmer, more enduring life. Here is your complete, precise English translation, maintaining the full meaning, structure, repetition, and a gentle, Jung-inspired tone for relaxation and sleep. How humans explore the ocean floor, in the layers where light can no longer reach. Something very special begins to emerge, not about the ocean, but about human beings themselves. That even though we have traveled far, understood so much, there are still places we cannot see in the ways we are used to. The ocean floor is one of those places. No windows, no clear view, no light to illuminate what lies beneath. And so, humans have learned to see without looking. Instead of using our eyes, we use sound. Sonar sound waves sent down into the depths, touching unseen surfaces, then returning. From those signals, we construct an image, not a real image, but a map formed from reflections, not seen directly, yet still understood in another way. And not only that, from distant space, satellites orbiting the Earth measure the smallest changes on the ocean's surface. Subtle shifts, almost impossible to notice, reveal the shapes of what lies far below. A world understood through indirect signs. Yet even with all this technology, the map of the ocean floor remains incomplete. There are vast regions still empty on the map, not because they do not exist, but because we have not yet reached them. Not because there is nothing there, but because we have not arrived. And as you remain in this space, something deep begins to unfold, that there are things that cannot be understood immediately, that cannot be seen clearly, that cannot be fully grasped. Carl Jung once wrote, "The most incomprehensible thing about the world is that it is comprehensible." Perhaps what is strange is not that we do not understand everything, but that we can still understand, even a little. And this touches a very quiet place within you. Perhaps you have tried to understand everything, yourself, your emotions, what is happening in your life, and sometimes not understanding can feel unsettling. But if you look at this deep ocean, you may begin to see that not everything needs to be clear. There are things that can only be felt. There are things that can only be approached little by little. Carl Jung once said, "Your vision will become clear only when you can look into your own heart." But seeing here is not seeing with the eyes. It is another kind of awareness, slower, deeper, and quieter, like the way humans use sonar, not seeing directly, yet gradually understanding the shape of the ocean floor. You too can understand yourself in that way. You do not need to see everything clearly at once. You do not need answers for everything. You do not need to fill every empty space. You only need to listen, to feel, and to allow things to slowly reveal themselves. There are parts within you, like unmapped regions, unclear, unfamiliar, perhaps hesitant, but that does not mean they do not exist. It only means you have not explored them yet, and that does not need to be rushed, does not need to be forced. Because, like the ocean, you also have depth, layers that cannot be reached immediately. And perhaps this is the deepest message of this space, that not knowing everything is not a flaw, but a part of the journey. And you do not need a complete map to continue. You do not need to understand everything to move forward. You only need a small signal, a gentle feeling, a very slow step, and then, little by little, something will appear. Not everything, but enough. And tonight, as you continue to drift, you do not need to search for answers. You do not need to make everything clear. You may simply feel that there are parts of you still a mystery, and that is completely okay. You do not need to understand everything to still be here, breathe, and exist. And perhaps just accepting that is enough for you to soften, to become still, and slowly drift into a space where you do not need to know everything, yet still feel whole in a very quiet way. As you continue to drift deeper into the region without light, where familiar images dissolve, you begin to realize a quiet truth. There are places humans cannot see in the ways we once believed necessary. No eyes are enough to pierce this density of darkness. No light is strong enough to reach the depths. And so, instead of seeing, humans have learned to listen. Sound waves, sent down from above, spreading through water, touch unseen structures, and return. Sonar, a way of seeing through sound. No direct images, no colors, only signals, small, subtle, woven together into a sense of form, a world felt before it is understood. And then, from far beyond, satellites orbiting this planet observe the ocean's surface, not to see the depths directly, but to read the smallest movements above. Subtle variations, almost invisible, carry traces of what lies below, not seen directly, yet still touched in a very indirect way. And even with all this effort, the map of the ocean floor remains unfinished. There are vast regions, unnamed, structures never seen, not because they do not exist, but because we have not reached them. Not emptiness, but the unknown. And as you stay in this space, a gentle realization spreads that not knowing is not a lack, but a natural part of being. Carl Jung once wrote, "We cannot change anything until we accept it." Perhaps accepting what is unclear is not giving up, but opening to a deeper way of understanding. And this touches something very still within you. Perhaps you have tried to understand everything, and when you could not, you felt uneasy. But if you remain here, you may begin to realize that not everything needs to be explained. Some things only need to be felt. Some things only need to be allowed. Like sonar, not seeing clearly, yet slowly understanding form, you can understand yourself. In the same way, no need to rush, no need for perfection, no need for completeness. There is no single way to understand, no perfect map for everyone. And there are parts of you, like unexplored ocean floors, unclear, unfamiliar, yet still there. And that does not need to change. You can let them be, as part of you, unknown, but not wrong. And as you continue drifting, you may begin to feel another kind of understanding, not from thought, but from presence, from staying, from not leaving, like the ocean, not needing to be fully explored, to still be the ocean. You do not need to understand everything, to still be yourself. And perhaps this is the deepest message of this space, that incompleteness is not a flaw, but part of beauty. And tonight, as you drift, you do not need to know where you are going. You do not need to understand everything. You may simply feel that there are parts of you still a mystery. And that is not frightening. It is simply deep, quiet, and yet to be discovered. And perhaps just allowing that is enough for you to soften, to let go, and slowly drift into a space where you do not need to understand everything, yet still feel whole, peaceful, in a way that is very gentle, very deep, and very real. Here is your complete, faithful English translation, preserving structure, tone, rhythm, and the calm, introspective style inspired by Carl Jung. The ocean floor as a book of history. As the layers of water gradually become familiar, you begin to arrive at another space, a space that is no longer only about life, but about memory. Not human memory, not something that can be told in words, but the memory of the planet itself, quietly preserved over millions of years. At the bottom of the ocean, there are no pages, no written words, and yet there is still a book that is never closed, never finished, because it is still being written, layer by layer, sediment layers, tiny particles settling and remaining, each grain of dust, each fragment of a shell, each small piece falling from above does not disappear. They accumulate, stacking upon one another, forming layers so thin, yet over time becoming thicker, deeper, and carrying within them the imprint of a specific moment. Each layer is a moment. Some layers record times when the Earth was warmer. Some carry traces of ice ages. Some hold the remains of life that no longer exists. Pollen, shell fragments, chemical structures, all of it are traces of what once was, not speaking, not explaining, yet still telling a story. And when humans drill down and retrieve sediment, cores, they are not just taking soil, they are opening pages of an ancient book, a book not written in language, but in existence itself. No words needed, yet full of meaning. Carl Jung once wrote, "Who looks outside dreams, who looks inside awakes." Perhaps the ocean floor is like the deeper layers of this human mind. What is on the surface is the present, but what lies beneath is the past, memory, the things that shaped the present. And this touches a very deep place within you. Perhaps you do not remember everything that has happened in your life. Some memories have faded, some emotions have settled, some experiences are no longer present in your daily thoughts. But if you look into the sediment core within yourself, you may begin to realize that nothing truly disappears. It simply settles, becomes a layer, a part of you. Every experience, every emotion, every moment leaves a trace, not always clear, not always easy to recognize, but still there, quietly shaping how you feel, how you respond, how you exist. You do not need to remember for it to still influence you. Jung once said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate." Those deeper layers do not disappear. They become part of the unconscious, and like the ocean floor, you carry within you a book, incomplete, not easy to read, but real. There are layers you can reach, and layers still too deep, and that does not need to change right away. You do not need to dig into everything. You do not need to understand everything at once, because everything is already there, in its place. And as you continue to drift, without needing to search, without needing to decode, you may begin to feel that everything you have experienced is within you, in a very quiet way, not loud, not demanding, simply present, like layers of sediment, not trying to tell their story, yet still holding it. And perhaps This is the deepest message of this space, that the ocean floor is the memory of the planet, and you are also the memory of yourself, not only the present, but everything that has ever been. And tonight, as you continue to drift, you do not need to remember everything. You do not need to understand it all. You may simply feel that everything has been and is exactly where it belongs, very deep, very quiet, and very real. And perhaps just trusting that is enough for you to soften, to let go, and slowly drift into a space where you do not need to hold on to the past, yet still carry it in a way that is very light, very deep, and very gentle. Dangerous movements in a space that seems completely still. A deep quiet begins to settle. No loud sounds, no obvious motion. Everything appears motionless, as if time itself has slowed, almost to a stop. But if you remain long enough, if you listen not with your ears, but with a deeper awareness, you begin to notice something subtle. This stillness is not absolute stillness. Beneath the surface of silence, there are immense movements, slow, but carrying enormous force, tectonic plates, quietly shifting, colliding, sliding past one another, without a sound humans can hear, not loud, but never stopping. Sometimes, these movements accumulate over long periods of time, unseen, unfelt at the surface. But at a certain moment, when balance is broken, energy is released, an earthquake beneath the sea. No warning, no announcement, only a release. And from that, waves spread outward. Tsunamis do not begin as towering waves immediately, but as deep movement, traveling through the ocean, carrying the energy of change below. What happens in the deep can travel very far. There are massive landslides when part of the seabed can no longer hold its place and slowly gives way, unable to stop. Hidden currents, strong, moving through darkness, carrying water, energy, and change, unseen from the surface. All of this is happening even when everything appears calm. And as you remain in this space, something deep begins to emerge. That stillness does not always mean nothing is happening. That beneath calmness, there may be an entire world in motion. Carl Jung once wrote, "There is no coming to consciousness without pain." Perhaps these deep movements are not always easy, but they are part of change, of growth, of becoming aware. And this touches something deep within you. Perhaps there are times when you feel fine, everything seems calm, but deep inside, there may be movements you have not yet noticed, unnamed emotions, unclear thoughts, slow changes, quietly unfolding. And sometimes they accumulate, not loudly, not clearly, but still there, until a moment when they surface, not as something sudden, but as something long in preparation. Jung once said, "What you resist persists. What is pushed down does not disappear. It simply waits." But that is not something to fear, because these movements do not only bring disruption, they also bring change, like the ocean floor, which cannot remain completely still. You too cannot remain unchanged. There are parts of you shifting, adjusting, finding a new balance. And that does not need to be controlled, does not need to be stopped. You can simply notice, simply listen, simply allow. Because, like the ocean, what happens in the deep is not to destroy, but to reorganize, to create a new state, a different balance. And perhaps this is the deepest message of this space, that stillness is not always the end of movement, but sometimes only the surface of a very deep process. And you carry such movements within you, not always seen, not always understood, but still happening. And tonight, as you continue to drift, you do not need to control everything. You do not need to make everything stable immediately. You may simply feel that even within stillness, there is a current, still moving, very slow, very deep, but very real. And perhaps just trusting that is enough for you to soften, to become still, and gently drift into a space where you do not need to keep everything still, but simply allow things to move in their own way. The ocean floor influences the entire planet as you continue to drift deeper into a space that seems separate from the surface. Something subtle begins to reveal itself, that even though the ocean floor is far, deep, quiet, it is not separate. It is part of a vast system where everything is connected in ways the eyes cannot see. In these depths, slow movements of water do not remain here. Cold, dense currents move silently through the ocean, carrying heat, minerals, time itself. Not fast, not loud, but continuous. Persists. Ocean currents are not just water. They are connection. From polar regions, where water becomes heavy, sinks, and begins its journey to distant places where it rises again and returns to the surface. A vast cycle, slow, but shaping the climate of the entire planet, unseen, yet everything is affected. And the ocean floor stores carbon, holding what might otherwise rise into the atmosphere. A quiet balance, maintained without being noticed, not visible, not obvious, but essential. And as you remain in this space, something deep becomes clear, that what happens in unseen places can shape the whole. Carl Jung once wrote, "The unconscious is not just evil by nature, it is also the source of the highest good." Perhaps the depths are not only where the unknown resides, but where balance is held, and this touches something very still within you. Perhaps you once believed that only what is visible, what you are aware of, truly matters. But if you look at the deep ocean, you may begin to see that what lies beneath is the foundation: unspoken emotions, unformed thoughts, settled memories. All have influence, like ocean currents, unseen, yet shaping the climate. The deeper parts of you are shaping how you experience the world. Jung once said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate." What you do not see still exists, and that does not need to be feared, because those depths carry not only chaos, but balance. Like the ocean floor, not only darkness, but stability for the whole planet. And as you continue to drift, you may feel that you are part of something larger, not separate, not isolated, but connected. What happens within you does not stay only within. It moves outward, touches the world, and in return, the world touches you. A cycle, continuous, no clear beginning, no absolute end, only connection. And perhaps this is the deepest message of this space, that what happens in the deep is never separate, but part of the whole. And you are the same. Not only what you see, not only what you know, but everything within you, whether you notice it or not. And tonight, as you continue to drift, you do not need to separate yourself. You do not need to understand every connection. You may simply feel that you are within a larger flow, very slow, very deep, but always connected. And perhaps just feeling that is enough for you to soften, to become still and gently drift into a space where you are no longer separate, but is part of the whole. Here is your complete English translation, carefully preserving the tone, pacing, structure, and meditative depth of your original text. The marks of humanity. As you continue to drift deeper through layers of water that seem completely separated from the human world, a quiet stillness remains. No light, no familiar sounds, no signs of cities, roads, or the noise of life above. Everything seems to return to a primordial state, as if this place has never been touched. But then, if you look more closely, if you stay just a little longer, you begin to notice a very subtle presence, not of nature, but of humanity. A small piece of plastic, drifting silently in the darkness. An artificial object, resting beneath layers of sediment. Long cables, stretching across the ocean floor, carrying streams of data, thoughts, conversations, connections, moving through a place where light has never reached. Humans have been here in a very quiet way. Plastic waste does not exist only at the act. Surface. It descends, little by little, with the currents, with time, settling into the deepest places, not loudly, unseen, yet still there. What is created does not easily disappear. And then there is resource extraction, machines lowered into the depths to take what lies beneath the seabed. What has existed for millions of years is touched, altered, moved, not quickly, but enough to leave a trace. And in this space, something deep begins to emerge, that there is no place completely untouched by human influence. Even the deepest, quietest places carry our imprint. Carl Jung once wrote, "Everything that irritates us about others can lead us to an understanding of ourselves. Perhaps, when we see human traces in places we thought were untouched, we are not only seeing the world, but ourselves. And this touches something deep within you. Humans do not exist only on the surface. We leave traces in environments, in ecosystems, and even in places we rarely think about. But what is interesting is, we do the same within ourselves. Experiences, words, emotions, they also settle. They leave traces. There are things you experienced long ago. Perhaps you no longer think about them, no longer remember clearly, but they remain like small plastic fragments deep within the mind, not entirely gone, not to harm, but simply to exist. Jung once said, "I am not what happened to me. I am what I choose to become." These traces do not define you, but they are part of you. And like the ocean floor, which can never be completely pristine, you do not need to be perfect. You do not need to erase every trace. You do not need to return to some original state, because those very traces create your story. And as you continue to drift, you do not need to resist what has been. You do not need to remove every imperfection. You may begin to feel that everything exists together. The light parts, the dark parts, what is natural and what has been created, all of it is there. And perhaps this is the deepest message of this space, that pristine does not mean without traces, but the ability to accept what is. And you are the same. You do not need to become perfect. You do not need to erase your past. You can simply be here with everything you carry. And tonight, as you continue to drift, you do not need to fix everything. You do not need to make everything right. You may feel that even with all your traces, you are still enough, very real, very quiet, and still becoming. And perhaps just allowing that is enough for you to soften, to become lighter and slowly drift into a space where you do not need to be perfect, but simply be yourself in a very gentle way. Undiscovered mysteries. As you drift even deeper through layers of water that have become familiar in their stillness, you enter another space, not just darkness, but the unknown, not because it does not exist, but because it has not yet been discovered. Here, there are creatures never named, forms never recorded in any book, ecosystems operating by rules not yet fully understood, not because they are far, but because they are deep, still, and different, not empty, but unrecognized. Some beings live their entire lives without ever being seen by human eyes. They exist, adapt, evolve in their own world without needing recognition, without needing to be known. Existence does not depend on being seen, and there are complex ecosystems woven together by subtle relationships, bacteria, tiny organisms, interacting, supporting, maintaining balance. A balance science has only begun to understand, not obvious, yet complete. There are even theories that life itself began in places like this, not in sunlight, but in darkness, where heat and chemistry created the first conditions for life, not from light, but from darkness. And in this space, a quiet realization emerges that the unknown is not something to fear, but something open. Carl Jung once wrote, "The most terrifying thing is to accept oneself completely." Perhaps what unsettles us is not what we know, but what we do not yet understand, especially within ourselves. And this touches something deep within you. Perhaps there are parts of you still unexplored, thoughts not yet clear, emotions not yet named, aspects of yourself not yet seen, not because they do not exist, but because they have not yet been recognized. Jung called this the unconscious, not empty, but vast, holding many things, waiting to be discovered, not to control, but to understand. And you do not need to explore everything at once. You do not need to illuminate everything, because some things take time. Like the ocean floor, you cannot explore it all at once, and you do not need to fully know yourself. Perhaps peace comes from accepting that there is still so much unknown, not a lack, but a possibility, a space where discovery continues. And as you drift, you may feel that parts of you are still unfolding, slowly, gently, but happening, and that does not need to be rushed, because the greatest mysteries are not behind you, but ahead, and you are the same. Not only what you have become, but also what you have yet to discover about yourself. And tonight, you do not need to solve every mystery. You may simply feel that not knowing can also be peaceful, very deep, very open, very real. And perhaps just allowing yourself to be in that space is enough to soften, to become lighter, and slowly drift into sleep, where not everything needs an answer, but everything is allowed to exist. Conclusion: the stillness of the planet. And as your journey comes to a close, you may realize you did not only hear a story about the ocean floor, you traveled through something deeper, not only outward, but inward, from the first layers of light to the deepest darkness. You moved through the layers of the planet, just as we move through the layers of the mind. And perhaps what matters most is not what you understood, but what you felt. You are not only your thoughts, not only what you show, but also everything within, settling quietly. Carl Jung once said, "Your vision will become clear only when you can look into your own heart." And perhaps This journey was not to make things clearer, but deeper. And tonight, you do not need to try anymore. Let unfinished thoughts drift. Let unclear feelings be. Let your body grow heavier, slower, as if the ocean itself is gently holding you. Breathe in softly. Breathe out slower. No need to control, just allow. And now, you may simply close your eyes and let sleep come naturally, gently, and deeply, as if the ocean is holding you, and you can rest completely. In that stillness, sleep well.